Hi guys, today we're going to be reading about Black Heroes, 51 inspiring people from ancient Africa to modern day USA. When we were last reading this book, we read about Absalom Jones, Richard Allen, and James Forten. Now, let's continue. Shaka Zulu. Shaka Zulu was a famous African warrior and king. He was one of the most influential rulers of the Zulu kingdom, which covered much of southern Africa. Shaka Zulu was born around 1787. His father was a king of the Zulu nation, and his mother was a princess, the daughter of a rival king. Shaka's parents were not supposed to have had a child together because they were from different clans. Shaka and his mother were sent away from his father's clan to live with his mother's. As a child, Shaka was often teased and ridiculed because of his family's history. However, over time, he grew tall and strong. From an early age, he was a natural leader. He became an expert fighter and military strategist. After the death of his father, Shaka Zulu became the leader of the Zulu kingdom. He developed many new military tactics, which helped him gain power. For instance, his warriors used shorter spears, which gave them an advantage in hand-to-hand combat, and they fought with larger and stronger shields that offered more protection. These new weapons and war strategies made Shaka's army very powerful. Shaka Zulu is most remembered for his famous fighting strategy called the Buffalo Horn Formation. This attack formation places the more experienced warriors in the center or the chest of the buffalo. Other soldiers form the horns of the buffalo. They surround the enemy, making it hard for them to escape. Under Shaka Zulu's rule, the Zulu nation expanded to include nearly 250,000 people, plus an army of 50,000 men. As king, Shaka Zulu became a respected leader by building friendships and relationships with neighboring clans in order to fight against larger tribes. Today, Shaka Zulu is still admired by the Zulu nation. His military strategies and rulership continue to be studied by historians and scholars. I need no bodyguard at all, for even the bravest men who approach me get weak at the knees and their hearts turn to water. To learn more about Shaka Zulu mastered several fighting styles. Research other ancient fighting styles like Kung Fu, Jiu-Jitsu, and Taekwondo. William Cuffy. William Cuffy was a politician and political activist. He was one of the leaders of the Chartist movement and a champion for workers' rights in Britain. William Cuffy, the son of a formerly enslaved man and an English woman, was born in 1788 in Chatham, Kent, where his father worked as a cook on a warship. William was trained to be a tailor, but he also took an interest in politics. His political life began in 1834, when he and fellow workers organized a strike in support of tailors, who were forced to work long hours for low wages. Because he protested, he lost his job and could not find work anywhere. William eventually joined the People's Charter movement. This was a political reform movement in Britain that had 6 demands, including that all men should have the right to vote, and that members of Parliament should not have to be property owners. William became determined to fight for equality in British society. Before long, William became one of the leaders of a movement called Chartism, which took its name from the People's Charter. This was one of the largest political movements of the working class in Britain. Its main purpose was to bargain for better working conditions and treatment for employees. William was one of the only black men in his party, and he played a major role in the organization's growth. William was one of the free men who planned an uprising against the government. However, the plans were leaked to the authorities, so the uprising never took place. William was arrested, charged, convicted, and sentenced to 21 years in Tasmania, an island south of Australia. However, William's sentence did not stop him. When political prisoners were pardoned and allowed to leave Tasmania, William stayed. He worked as a tailor and continued his involvement in radical politics until he passed away in 1870. People today are still inspired by his commitment to supporting workers' rights. I say you have no right to sentence me. Read Kids on Strike by Susan Campbell Bartoletti to find out about children who worked in coal mines in the early 1900s and how they found the bravery to go on strike to protest their inhumane working conditions. Sojourner Truth. Sojourner Truth was an abolitionist and women's rights activist in the 1800s. Sojourner Truth was born as Isabella Baumfree in 1797. She was born into slavery, and when she was only 9 years old, she was sold away from her parents. She married in 1815 and over time had 5 children. In 1826, after years of abuse, she escaped with her baby daughter to freedom. Sojourner then began to work to free her other children from slavery. When she discovered that one of her sons had been sold to slaveholders in the South, she sued the slave owner and won freedom for her son. After a religious conversion in 1843, she gave herself the first name Sojourner, which means a person who travels, and the last name Truth. She chose this name because she believed she heard the voice of God telling her to preach the truth. She said, Sojourner, because I was to travel up and down the land, showing people their sins and being a sign to them. And Truth, because I was to declare the truth unto the people. Sojourner began traveling around the North as a preacher and an abolitionist. She was a popular and powerful speaker. Although she never learned to read or write, she could vividly communicate the evils of slavery. Because of this, she was often invited to speak to large crowds. Beyond her work to end slavery, Sojourner also advocated for women's rights. In 1851, she gave one of her most famous speeches titled, Ain't I a Woman? In the speech, she spoke bluntly about racism and gender inequality. The speech made her a leader in the early women's rights movement. Sojourner later moved to Michigan, and when the Civil War started, she supported the Union Army in the North by calling for African Americans to enlist. She also worked with organizations that helped newly free African Americans get settled. Today, Sojourner is recognized as a prominent historical figure in both the abolitionist and women's rights movements. Her work and dedication to both causes has been recognized in historic sites and public memorials. Life is a hard battle anyway. If we laugh and sing a little as we fight the good fight of freedom, it makes it all go easier. I will not allow my life's light to be determined by the darkness around me. Want to learn more about Sojourner Truth? Check out Carrie Lee Alexander's digital exhibit by searching at artsandculture.google.com. And that was Black Heroes. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you soon in another video. Bye!